Hey gang, so in one of those really great ironies, this is probably one of my favorite poi tricks of all time. It is Triquetra versus Pendulum. And I discovered the other day when somebody asked me about it online that I had never done a tutorial on this trick before. So here it is, because it's not actually that difficult to learn, and it does teach you quite a bit about how to put together some patterns that require you to have a little bit more subtle a touch with your poi. Like, usually when we do flowers, there's kind of a constant rate of rotation that we're playing around with. Whereas when we're doing this pattern, we kind of have to tweak the speed of the poi just a little bit as it goes through it. And quite frankly, it's a skill that's going to come in handy as you learn to do things like point isolations or things like floats, where you deliberately have to put as little momentum on the poi as possible. Yeah? So let's break this down. First and foremost, what are each hand doing? I'm going to be using my left hand for the pendulum and my right hand for the triquetra here. So what the left hand is doing is it is going to move around relative to me in a counterclockwise fashion. Yes, this is clockwise to you guys, but it's counterclockwise to me because I'm on the other side of it. As I'm doing that, my hand is moving around in a circle, but it's doing so slowly that the poi cannot get over my hand. And you want to kind of imagine that it's going straight out to the side from my shoulder on each side, and then it's going to go above my head to let the poi kind of drag across my shoulder line, going from my right side to my left side, and then down around in a big wide arc. Yes? With my other hand, I'm going to be performing, we're going to call it a triquetra even though it kind of isn't. It's a really ugly triquetra, or as I prefer to think of it, it's actually pieces of two other moves that have been kind of cut and pasted together like a collage in a high school art class, right? Essentially what we're looking to do here is we're looking to have the poi have two up beats. That is, there will be 2 points at which it's pointed up towards our chin. The first one is going to be as we're moving our hand from our left hip to our right hip. That is, it'll kind of pop over as though it's going to touch us on the chin. And then the second one is going to be as we're moving from right to left. We're going to imagine that the poi head is going to pop straight up our center line, and we're going to kind of sneak our hand underneath it. Yeah? This is what's called a linear isolation. And in so doing, our poi essentially is going to go up and down center line while our hand is going to go from right side to left side. You can practice this a little bit by, say, starting over here on the right side and catching the poi head as it comes up, bringing your hand underneath it, and then dropping the poi head. And it should wind up going clockwise after you finish that. It's clockwise over here far on the right. You catch the head on your center line, move the hand underneath it, and drop the poi head, and it's still going clockwise on the other side. Try that a few times. Get comfortable with it. And then try doing it without the catch, imagining that there would be a catch. Oh, but my hand is going to sneak under it instead. There will be this really cool kind of anti-gravity moment right there where the poi will kind of seem to hover in midair and your hand can just dart straight under it, yeah? Now, as I'm doing this, my hand is really just moving straight from side to side, from my right hip to my left hip, or my right shoulder to my left shoulder, however you see fit to look at it. To turn this into the kind of triquetra, what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that when the poi head is popping up, our hand is also going to go up with it. So they're both reaching towards the sky, and then we have that second upbeat going from our left side to our right side. And in doing this, we really want to emphasize that poi head going straight up and down. The reason being that we want this petal to be slower than it should normally be. And that happens instead of when we're performing an actual triquetra where it's going around in a more rounded kind of shape. We want it to really feel as though it's got nowhere to go but up and down. Like it's stuck in that slot directly on our center line. This will be important. Now, when we put these two things together, there's a little bit of a trick here because we really have to do this in such a way that the poi wind up being in what feels like split time same direction going over the top. This is really tricky at first because it feels more natural to have the poi start from a place where they're kind of in together same over here on my right hand side. And sometimes it results in having them so out of sync with each other that the pendulum doesn't quite work. And sometimes it results in just kind of movement gobbledygook, like so. So how do we get there? Well, the first thing I usually like to have people do is, over here on your right-hand side, try and get the two poi going back and forth in pendulums like this. And what you're going to want to do is wait for that moment when the right-hand poi, that is my orange poi, is going from away from me to towards me. And as that happens, I'm going to pick both of my hands up. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of drag the right-hand poi up into that petal that we talked about before, as well as dragging the left-hand poi in a pendulum underneath it. You want to be able to see this moment up top where the right-hand poi is pointing straight up towards the sky and the left-hand poi is dropping down towards your center, right? So from this kind of pendulum motion right here, we go up and let the left-hand poi droop down below it. Now, one thing that is really going to help you as you're doing this is really imagining that it's not just an up motion, but also a side-to-side motion. You're really trying to carry that left-hand pendulum as far from your right side to your left side as you possibly can. A lot of us, when we're starting off, kind of come from this place where we keep our hands in a very, very small area in front of us. And when we go into that split time, same direction kind of place, the poi are more at an angle than anything else, kind of like tilted up to the side like that, which is totally fine. And, you know, we all go through that phase and everything. But what really changed this move entirely for me was seeing Ronan do it in such a way that he would do as wide an arc as possible and really shoot to have this kind of tabletop moment where they're straight off in a horizontal line on each side of the body. Because what that does is it opens up the pathways to being able to do a variety of transitions to other hybrids at those points in its movement. Otherwise, those side points really aren't that good for anything. So, of course, as you're dragging up and over, you then have the second upbeat with your right hand. As the left hand is dragging underneath it, upbeat over, upbeat across, upbeat over, upbeat across, upbeat over, upbeat across. The things to really, really, really keep in mind is to try and have it be that when you're carrying up and over, the right-hand poi, that is the Triquetra one, is pointed inward towards you, as the left-hand poi, that is the pendulum one, is pointed away from you, and to make sure that you get that second upbeat as you're going across the bottom. Yeah? So, hopefully this helps, and if you get this down, of course, the next level up is to try and do it with your left-hand poi even with your right hand, in which case it travels above it, and the Triquetra winds up being squeezed just a little bit as you're going through it. But this one is also fun because it opens up the possibility of sticking a variety of different anti-brids like cat-eye versus isolation into it. And if you really, really, really want to get ambitious with it, you can start doing things like cat-eye versus pendulum or horizontal cat-eye versus isolation. Stuff we'll cover a little bit down the road, but that's a better first step to get there, is to just get both hands together spacing and hand to poi spacing. Yeah? Cool. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back with more for you soon. Peace. This video was made possible thanks to the kind contributions of these folks right here. In addition, special thanks to Sean, Prisna, Kiro, as well as Andrew Hammond and Ben Reynolds. Thank you guys so much for making these videos possible. If you've enjoyed these videos or learned anything from them, please consider making a contribution at drexfactory.com/support. Help me to keep on making these videos that you love. Thanks.